Greetings, is I, Tantus Naravan, your Lord and Emperor here at the Dracovin Empire, and welcome once more to the world of darkness. Yes, we're diving back in, and today we're continuing our discussion of Mage The Ascension. Break out your spells and magic with a K and stuff like that. We're diving into Mage. Not just normal Mage today, we're continuing our tour of the conventions of the Technocracy. Yes, today will be the final one in our series, the Void Engineers. So the Void Engineers are an interesting one to talk about, and it's got a number of reasons, and I had a number of complications related to creating and researching this video and figuring things out, because honestly speaking, a number of reasons. One being the online source I tend to use for outline and a lot of basic ideas. White Wolf Wikipedia is not 100% complete where I want it to be. And number two, they had a major shift as of the Dimensional Anomaly, the major storyline that leads into the 20th anniversary series. So, yeah. I'm going to do my best, though, today to include the original and kind of shifts that have been happening in the Void Engineers, so you know where they were probably about 20-ish or so years ago, 25 years ago, and where they are now. So, yeah. We're going to kind of try to discuss it as best we can, and I'm going to try to use the information I have. Let's start, of course, with, shout-outs I should give them. Remember, please, always you can join me live on Twitch. You talk with me before, after the videos, or later on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please do the various usual things, like subscribe, ring bell, leave a comment about that. Have you played a Void Engineer? Have you dealt with Void Engineers? That kind of thing. It helps. Uses the algorithm, keeps things going. Books. That's a great place to start. And this was an interesting one because I had to do my own research for once for books, because there really wasn't a lot. Again, the wiki site is not a great place to start. Normally, most times when I use that, it gives me a list of books that I can check out myself and then also provide you with some. You know, I don't usually check out all of them, but I usually give you a list of books. I had to use the other conventions to kind of get an idea. But the 20th anniversary book is a good one. Yes, it gives you an idea of the current version of the Void Engineers. Not a lot of updates, but it gives you some general updates on where to kind of figure out, research, and develop the idea of where they are as of the most modern version. Otherwise, if you're looking to older books, the Guide to Technocracy is a great place. It gives you basic information on all the conventions. And then the two convention-based books, Convention Book Void Engineers and Technocracy Void Engineers, to give you a good view individually on those and some mechanical-based things. I used one to find out some images that we're going to be using today. I'll talk about that in a minute. Here is their convention symbol. Let's discuss Void Engineers. So, members of the Technocratic Union, they specialize in astronomy, geography. They're all about exploring, about going out, discovering, and they do it in a very interesting ways in comparison. Now, we can talk about their paradigm, which is all about exploration. That they see humanity traveling out into the universe. The Earth is small, it's dying, pollution, war, crime, the very societies tearing the world apart, destroying it, killing it. But because the glory of the universe as a whole, all versions of all places to go, they know that humanity can go where they've explored. They've gone to places. Humanity can settle these places. They have primitive rocket technology. And they've already begun encouraging mundane versions of their deep universe vessels. Their vessels to explore the deep umbra. That's another name for it. They travel dimensions, basically. As for them, new explorers, new worlds, new frontiers, new dimensions, new places to go, boundaries of knowledge. And yeah, maybe some of the masses will go for them. The unity is lying with them. But plenty of them will find more unity. The problems that they have back on their home world, on Earth, will just melt away as they begin to settle these places in dozens of worlds. The importance of one world will fade in comparison to all worlds and all places that are explored. And that's the kind of idea they have. They are explorers. Whether it's another planet, whether it's traveling in our space, whether it's going to other dimensions, into the deep umbra to explore these places, it's all about that. But they aren't fools. And the reality is that there are threats out there, which is the other side of the coin for them. Because just as we had the massive story chain with the Avatar story, everything that happened with that, now there's another goal. And one, which we definitely will talk about a lot more, the threat they see at the end of today. But they also not only seek to expand humanity, to explore these places, but to defend them from whatever's out there that could threaten them. They are the barrier between powerful threats outside of humanity and their safety. Yes, they wish to explore and discover, but they aren't foolish enough to know that there aren't things out there that are dangerous and that that the humanity is not ready to deal with. So that's the two-sided coins of the Void Engineers. Explore. But they are also the frontline battles against any kind of threats from out there. So just because you've been there doesn't mean you're not ready to face something that's there if it's a threat. Be ready for it. That was an important lesson of the Avatar story, of what happened in the meta plot. Much more so than they had previously. Now this is an actual picture of one of the images from the convention book. I got a couple of these that are, you can get people advertising prints online. But these are from the convention book. It's the best I can find. We live with it. Let's talk about their history as it moved. Because wanderlust, exploring, discovering places is as old as humanity itself. And the Void Engineers traced their roots to the early explorers, who went over the next hill, maybe crossed into the spirit realm for those that were awakened. They pointed out that millennia before the rise of cities, the mastery of metal, enterprising humans spread from Africa to every continent. A testament to curiosity, to foresight. And the wanderlust did not end with the creation of city-states and empires. In every land, explorers hungered for unknown sights. What was old territory to one civilization was new and exciting to another. The circulation of explorers and knowledge from one land to another led to trade, profit, war, and enlightenment. That is the history of the Void Engineers. By the Roman Empire, though, organized guilds of explorers had formed in port cities of the Mediterranean. They preserved and codified the arts of their forerunners, expressing in symbols of power drawn in the profession: the rope, the sail, the wave, the wind, the map, naming of the unknown. The fall of the empire did cripple them for the time, and the Byzantine provinces suffered from decline in sea trade. But in the Middle Ages, the guilds began to grow again, aided by the mercantile culture of Italy and the cosmopolitan markets of the Islamic city-states. These guilds worked together and strengthened their mutual interest and became known as the Void Seekers. So we reach the Victorian Age. In 1851, the Celestial Masters, the Void Seekers, and the larger order underwent reorganization and merged as the Technocratic Union. So they did gather together with the other groups during this time, the other conventions, to form the original union as it was. They had two separate groups, Celestial Masters and Exploiters, the Void Seekers. Basically, it was exploring the above and exploring the void. Space, dimensions, kind of the two different things. Now, again, during this time period, as to the evolving to Technocratic Union, they merged together. They were two groups merged into one. And we have them now with the Technocratic Union emerging as what it is. These two groups becoming the Explorators, which again was renamed eventually to the Void Engineers. So the Celestial Masters, the Void Seekers, these two groups that formed kind of during the Renaissance. One with the stars, one with the outside space, combining together from the order of reason when they were brought into that. Modern ages, well, okay, we can talk about that briefly. As we look at the Technocracy, oftentimes they are seen as very villainous, while Void Engineers are, in fact, one of those groups that is not seen this way. Why? Because they're pretty tolerant. They view the digital conflicts with the Sons of Ether in a very sporting manner, which is annoying to their colleagues. They're seen as a little bit more free-spirited, and the only technocrats that have more faith in the initial goals of the Technocracy, rather than the policies of some of their colleagues. And again, like, they see the horizons they want to travel to. They also see the threats that are outside that are bigger than the fights that are just petty on the ground. So it's sort of like, they're not as concerned with whatever the hell is happening on Earth. They're like, we want to find out what's out there. We want to make sure if there's a threat out there, it's contained. But if not, there's great things to explore, to discover, to find. What the hell are you guys doing back there? That doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting fact that they just don't see it the same way. There's another one of those pictures that was from the book. And they actually have the person's name on there in the book. I saw that. Interestingly enough, they marked it. So they pursue a type of science they call technology, with a capital T. Kind of like the Roman Empire between small e empire, big E empire, but it's technology with a capital T. And unlike Earth technology, technology with a capital is sufficed with a sense of wonder and possibility. It's not to say that all of it is shiny, covered in blinking lights. Scuffed paint, worn cables, patched hulls are just as common, and all engineer equipment is fantastic, looking like something from Star Wars or Star Trek. Their ships and their realms, technology blends into a seamless whole of mundane technology, apparatuses, and devices, and many of which do not require enlightenment to operate. So they kind of combine stuff that might need enlightenment and others that do not. And most of the technology is incredibly vulgar to Earth. So when they visit the Mud Ball, many engineers use subdued, hidden equipment common to the other conventions. Those that have lived too long in space often forget what is not acceptable to static reality, and for that reason they call small devices that warn them if they're about to overstep reality's safe limits. Basically, they've gone and outside to places where they can develop their technology in vast, great directions that go beyond it, combining pure science and magic to the ultimate degree that is what you see the Technocracy as in some ways. It goes super vulgar. And again, yeah, some of it, plenty of it, can be used by people that aren't enlightened, aren't magical. But it's so developed because of that connection to the enlightenment. It's just so crazy. So the hallmark of their technology are commands of correspondence and dimensional science, or DS. The DS differs greatly from tradition's spirit sphere. Void engineers find it easiest to access alternate dimensions in high technology areas such as constructs and laboratories. Conventionally, they find it almost impossible to use DS in natural areas such as cairns or primal nodes. DS holds that the atmosphere of near universe, or near umbra, is poisonous, and when traveling beyond the penumbra, Void engineers must carry their own supply of atmosphere. If the near umbra is poisonous, the deep umbra is a vacuum. Once past the horizon, most of them find it necessary to use sealed suits and ships to breathe and avoid explosive decompression, even if traditional mages do not. When different travelers meet, this results in incongruities, as the armored and spacesuited marine crosses cold, lifeless surface of Europa, only to find a naked dream speaker sitting by a fire. So, yeah. They can be just like, God, you guys just fuck with things in such a weird way. Man. But again, they're using the Umbra. They're using traveling between the spirit realms and traveling these places to go to different places, to go to different planets, to go to explore these places. They're not traveling through space normally. They're taking a direction which is dimensional. It's sort of like going into subspace, to travel. They also do have a small number of prime specialized who sanitize nodes and create horizon realms, a feat which many conventions still cannot match. and again, if you were unaware, Horizon Realms, just as a quick one, are pocket universes within the Umbra known as the Horizon, basically. Little pocket realms that they can create to help do their things there. Let's talk their organization, their methodologies, and such. There's a current one engineer with things behind it. So they're very loosely structured in introduction. For the most part, they make no distinction between unenlightened and enlightened personnel, although only the latter assumes positions of leadership regularly. Basically, have to be enlightened. Low-ranking engineers are the technicians and enlisted marines, who are rarely, if ever, enlightened. Higher-ranking are a mixture of enlightened and unenlightened personnel. Engineer recruits not destined to become technicians or marines begin as cadets, or also called students, before graduating to one of 4 specialties. So, yeah, they kind of start out in this low rank of, the cadets into technicians, marines, and the different groups. So there's a militaristic side. Enforcers, who defend the Convention on missions and the Union on Earth, and who often lead Marines in combat. Explorers, who chart new territory. Investigators, who pursue scientific interest. And researchers, who develop new technology. Most engineers never achieve or even desire for a rank beyond these titles, but those who do become coordinators, overseeing the Void Engineers' co-operations, constructs, or their ships. Coordinating is often a thankless office with administrative responsibility but little actual power. The engineers are a fractious lot, and most of their co-op operates by voter consensus, whatever the rules say. Now, originally the convention as a whole bowed to the Dimensional Science Evaluation, Administration, and Training, the DSEATC, a group of ancient engineers based on the COP, which maintained regular communications with the rest of conventions, despite recent difficulties in sending hyperspatial messages from Earth to the deep reaches. Though, in the revised, they did replace that with the EDT, Existential Threat Divisions, and that's where they became a little bit more militant of a convention because of what was going on and the upcoming threat of Threat Null. We'll talk about that as soon as we're done talking about the methodologies. Threat Null is something we do have to handle here a little bit, just the basics of it. I might go into depth more in the future, but yes, it is the main group the Void Engineers are currently battling against. Again, they saw this, there was a threat. It made them a little bit more militant. It's not the only threat they're ready for now, but this main threat they discovered basically has changed them into explore and defend. Now they have 5 main divisions, which each have their own subdivisions. I'm going to go over these basically. You can look into them more on your own. The Border Corps Division, the BCD, often called Space Marines behind their backs, is basically patrols the gauntlet, make sure there's no unauthorized entities threatening Earth. They specialize in forces to a degree. They were hit hard when the Dimension Anomaly occurred, aka the Avatar Storm, when several of their off-world stations fell. Nefandi, aliens, marauders, spirits, and Type Null threaten Earth, and their duty to maintain the basically coordinate against the Void from the masses has only gotten stronger since then. Basically, they were always patrolling the border, but now, after everything that happened, it's gotten worse, you know? They were looked down as cannon fodder before the Dimensional Anomaly. Now, you know, the Syndicate appreciates that they present a lot of immediate results, and so they have a lot more stable funding, basically. So yeah, doing a lot better. They have a job to do, though. There's the Earth Frontier Division. This methodology focuses on the last frontiers of Earth to tap them for the Union. They deal with a lot of correspondence and forces for their sphere. It deals with the Seekers of Old, back when the Order of Reason was founded, the Void Engineers were created and later joined them, and the Celestial Masters. They're very old kind of thing. They survived the Dimensional Anomaly relatively intact, because most of their members were on Earth, and their tactics remain unchanged. Within the convention, they have a reputation of being mudballers who hide from the dangers of the Void and terrors of the Gauntlet. And this rift kind of does keep them apart, but again, they're looking for things that are still important on the world, and their subgroups are the aquatic exploration teams, cryo-regional specialists, hydrothermal botanical, mosaic analysis, inaccessible high-elevation exploration teams, and subterranean exploration corps. Played some smaller groups there. Also with the incursion quantum analysis team and maintenance and custodial division. The maintenance and custodial division is one of the most vital groups. It maintains the Earth Frontier Division's basically bases, and puts them in hostile territories and stuff like that. And the incursive quantum analysis team deals with reality breaches. So those two are kind of important to kind of know. The other ones mostly speak for themselves about what they're doing. The Neutralization Specialist Corps, with their subdivisions of Neutralization Specialist, Enforcement Training and Conditioning Agency, and Department of Psychological Evaluation and Maintenance. And above the Enforcement Training and Conditioning Agency is the Descartes Institute of Mental Health. Okay. So, who are these? They deal with extra-dimensional entities that have entered Earth. They focus on dimensional science. They're one of the original duties of the Order of Reason, but they formed more recently. In the wake of, basically, the Fourth Maelstrom, the Shroud growing thinner after the First World War, basically some of the Void Engineers were called about for this, and were formed by this. And since the Cold War, Earth has been a little more peaceful without incursions. But now that the dimension anomaly has occurred, more spirits are happening again. So it's sort of like things calmed down after the First World War. This division kind of like fell to still there because stuff could still happen, but less importance. Now they're much more important again. You know, they work a lot with the other operatives of the New World Order, addressing damage to the consensus, things like that. So yeah. They deal with the Inference Defense Corps. Deals with threats from the near universe that have entered and bypassed the Border Corps division. The SND deals with incursions from the underworld and works closely with the Necronauts of the Pan-Dimensional Corps. The Descartes Institute of Mental Health, which is formed by the COP, are psychologists that deal with psychological horror of the monsters of the deep universe and other dimensions inflict on the rest of the convention. And the ETCA has its task of social conditioning the Void Engineers that travel the universe to fight against these monsters, to give them mental buffers against it, basically, so they connect together too. The Pan-Dimensional Corps well, there are the Soul Research Collective, Deep Exploration Teams, the DET, which were originally here, but come defunct and been replaced because of some things that have changed, with Fleet Operations Command, Intelligence Directorate, Void Constitution Corps, and two that survived that were there previously, the Cybernauts and Chrononauts. Okay, we'll talk about all the differences that have happened here in a second. Let's talk about who the Pan-Dimensional Corps are. They focus on deep space or exploration. Dimensional science, correspondence times. Remember, they're using the Umbra, traveling through dimensions, levels to travel between space. These were the beginnings with the Seekers of the Void, and the Technocides, who managed to enter space and were established. They kind of were put in with the rest of this group during the Great House Cleaning, and they've been advancing during the 20th century. Landing the first sleepers on the moon, exploring space beyond the solar system, clashing with the Fandi, aliens, other entities during the World Wars. They've been very peaceful. And that's when we get to dimensional anomaly and threat null, and this methodology altering greatly. Because there's a danger to Earth from the deep universe, and they've militarized. So yeah, that's why we got rid of their two other groups. The Soul Collective Research, which was monitoring the solar system, in cooperation with Iteration X and Deep's exploration teams, exploring the rest of the galaxy, in small co-ops. They're gone. Sort of. They're defunct. They've been defunded. In its place, we have the 3 that replaced it. Fleet Operations Command engages the enemies of the Union and mankind through various hot zones of the dimensional anomaly. The Intelligence Directorate, the ID, compiles and evaluates data from deep universes and few of the surviving constructs out there. Originally, their task was also to maintain the strength of the Gauntlet, but the Avatar Storm has now taken care of that. Void Construction Corps works to rebuild the fleet of the methodology from the wreckage of the near universe and reconstruct lost outposts and constructs. So basically, they lost a lot of what the deep exploration team was. Most of those teams are gone now in what happened in the Avatar Storm. And the 2 that survive, the Cybernauts, who travel the digital webs and wrestle with the virtual depths. In the rise of the extraordinary citizen through the internet, the task has become more difficult. And the Chrononauts, who travel through time, see into categories as anomalies and navigate its course. Their work is highly paradox-prone, and they have to work with absolute precision and care. And most joke that only madmen are fit to join the Chrononauts. But the Chrononauts and Cybernauts still exist there, they're still doing their jobs. It's just the level of deep exploration has changed, and they are rebuilding their fleet. It's just the Void Construction Corps is doing their best to get back to that world. And finally, the last one is Research and Execution. They build and maintain their equipment, specializing in forces and dimensional science. They originated in the Celestial Masters academic branch, originally founded as the Office of Technological Research. The leadership of the Union soon realized how vital their work was for the continuing success of the convention. Funding was increased to the point that manufacturers became a separate methodology, originally named Research and Developments. Technocracy, the founding fathers of the Void Engineers, took offense to the name since science, in his opinion, should not have so much development. They're a vital methodology to this convention. Every other methodology depends on their gear, and field patrols depend on their mechanics. And only the best and brighter are taken to R&E. And this is a fact that the convention is well aware of. Rarely noticed by the rest of the Union, R&E works tongue-in-cheek. They're referred to as the Q division sometimes. And it's the same reason NWO's own research introduces the name the same. They do have a couple specialized fields, even though they don't really have subdivisions the same way. Advanced Research Division, the Lab Rats test how devices function under conditions the Void Engineers operate under, also focusing on understanding the enemies that lie beyond the Gauntlet. Field Engineering Corps work together with other Void Engineers to operate their ships to keep them functional, also trained in combat. Fleet Intelligence Services, and to analyze the info the field agents gather and act upon it. Most of them are stationed at Copernicus Research Center, but around 10% inspect constructs of the convention, and Vessel Construction Corps, which build the Void ships the convention depends on, but also constructs weapons and environmental gear. Okay. One final thing to talk about, and that's a little bit of an introduction to Threat Null. Originally referred to as emerging threats capable of nullifying enlightened procedures. What is this? It's given rise since the dimensional anomaly / Avatar Storm. And Void Engineers are battling it and basically keeping it pretty much a secret from the rest of the conventions. They're trying not to let others know there's this horrible existential threat that's trying to destroy them. They know their other conventions don't share knowledge of this. And personally, they think that that they would claim that Threat Null is a new breed of reality deviant that has surfaced since the dimensional anomaly. That's what they believe the other conventions would just say they are. But they found ways to counter enlightened science, and it seemed that their design for consensus is basically harmful to what the Technocratic Union is doing. So basically, what little is known by the others, they're like, it's just a new reality deviant. They're not diving as deep as the dimensional science, our Void Engineers here. They'll grumble, but they accept that, Void Engineers know about what's kind of going on with this battle. That they're battling something. They know something's going on, they don't know the full picture. So we can tell you the truth here. Just a little bit of it, to give you an idea of what Void Engineers are fighting against. they claim to be part of the Technocratic Union. To the horror of the first Void ships that managed to breach the storm, the higher ranks of the Union that had been the personal Horizon realms, when the dimensional anomaly had occurred, been twisted and perverted by Void adaptation to half-spiritual creatures themselves. So basically, technocrats that were stuck outside during the storm are now half-spirit monstrosities trying to get back to Earth. They've been corrupted. And they have a perfection of consensus that's a mockery of the original goal of the Union. They can harness the social conditioning that technocrats undergo. And so the Void Engineers have been finding ways to uncondition themselves against it, to battle against it. And they have found 4 groups corresponding to the 4 conventions other than themselves. The Autopoliticians, which are based on Iteration X, Agents on New World Orders, Transhumanity based on Progenitors, and Residents based on Syndicate. I'm not going to go into too much detail on them. But their version, who knows, maybe they wandered off to parts of the deep universe, or perhaps they were powerful enough to avoid Void adaptation, but currently they haven't seen them. But yes, that's what the Void Engineers are battling against. Horrible, corrupted versions of the Technocracy, type null. That's why, in M20, they went military. They went heavy military. They're like, holy crap! Our people we thought were dead, they're not dead. They've become monsters. And they want to come back to Earth and corrupt Earth. That's a hell of a revelation for any group. And that's why they don't tell everybody this. Because they're like, how the hell would we tell anybody your people are there? They might want to cooperate with them or see about that. That's the thing, is they can't trust the other conventions not to submit. Some of them certainly would. The Void Engineers are smart enough, understanding enough, know enough about what's out there to fight against this. They still want to explore, they want to discover, but they've learned there are threats out there. They always knew there are threats, but those threats have grown stronger. And so they are the first line of defense against anything of this. And certainly speaking, threat null, well, it doesn't affect your traditional reality deviants, aka mages, the same way. They nullify the personal ideas, realities of the Technocracy. Their technology, their ideas in a lot of ways. It's a danger. They have their own idea of what consensus, reality should be, and they shape it. They plan on corrupting the world to their idea of it, which is not what the Technocracy would want, and certainly the Void Engineers want to avoid it. Again, it's definitely not to say that the rest of the Technocracy would instantly fall to them, but certainly, unfortunately, there are those within the Technocracy that would be very weak to some of their ideas. Hence why, again, keeping their arm's length. Hey, we found this horrible threat. It's coming in at us. It's formed after here. We need some money to fight them. We're going all military. It's just another reality deviant, right? Yeah, but this one's pretty bad. We really need a lot of money and firepower to take care of them. They could do some pretty big damage. You really should just give us some stuff. Fine, you guys know a lot about these things. That's the conversation. It's so interesting to see that there is this essence of exploration that still is deep within them, and this sense of discovery. The Void Engineers are so unique and different because they have this duplicity of nature that they need to have. They're explorers, discoverers. They go beyond the pettiness of the world. They also see that there are threats out there that have to be stopped. Marauders, Nefandi, various alien entities. We're out there already. They were ready for them already. There are new threats now that combine with them to create this overwhelming problem that has to be solved, and it's a difficult problem to solve. But that's why I think Void Engineers are so interesting. They're so unique. They're a part of the Technocracy, but also so much different than so much other parts of the Technocracy. They see the wonder in their science. It's why there were grumblings of them possibly leaving the Technocracy before Type Null and the Avatar Storm, the problems that happened, occurred. They might have. But this huge effect, this threat, has made them stay their place. They might not agree the same way, they might not see things the same way, but they know they're working together with the rest is probably going to help keep things in place, keep things safe, keep the world turning, keep things from Earth. It's a mud ball. They don't necessarily like going back there, but it's home. And they recognize that too. And that's why I have to say, like, this is the reason that this video was difficult to do. I kind of talked about it front here, and I want to finish up with talking about this. A little bit of the difficulties. Finding images, doing research, putting together all this. As I said, there was only so much that was on. Like, normally, I get a pretty good outline of at least what I want to talk about using the Wikipedia site, and then just supplementing that with information from a lot of the books that I research on. I had to go to and there are times and places with research topics I have to go to books, but this is unique for White Wolf. I had to go to the books, and I had to find the books myself. I didn't have a good place to point out the books. So it was fun to research this and fun to talk about it and kind of dive into the changes and recent changes in the Void Engineers. But certainly speaking, it was more of a challenging video, and I hope you all enjoyed joining me today to talk about them. The Void Engineers were a very fun one to get into and to learn more about. And, you know, I knew the name. I knew they're part of the Technocratic Union. I didn't know as much before I researched this one, and I'm really glad I did. But if you enjoyed all this and enjoyed all these things, I talk about more topics. Make sure to check out all my other stuff. I've got the rest of the conventions. They'll be linked at the end of this video, the rest of the Mage Technocracy videos for my full playlist. I've finished up now. For now, Technocracy stuff. I might have more Technocracy topics in the future. I certainly will be continuing to go through the rest of the Council of 9 Mystic Traditions and other mage groups that are out there. If you want to see any of those live, that's on Fridays. I talk about World of Darkness stuff every Friday for my topics, but I do tabletop stuff Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, usually early to mid-afternoon, depending on life stuff. If you want to see other stuff I do that's tabletop related, if you're going to join me live, it's Crimson Queen on Wednesday. It's a live play of Pathfinder 1st Edition. I'm running a game, 9 p.m. EST. Very fun, great players. I recommend checking it out. We have a fun time. And then Saturdays at 6, discussing tabletop. We talk about news of the week, deeper discussion topics on table. All that stuff goes up on YouTube, so you don't have to join me live, but if you would, that'd be great. If you just want to check out all my other stuff on YouTube, also great. Any way you can support me, any way you can check out more of my stuff, watch more things. There's a lot of stuff I've done. I hope you can all enjoy it and learn from it. And dive into lore and interesting topics in the tabletop world like I do. I love learning about interesting mechanics or lore or ideas and things like that that help spark my imagination as both a player and a game master. Storyteller, in this case. And of course, I do have social media links below, so remember to check those out too for cat pics and updates on my schedule. Alright, I'm going to get going. I'm going to go hang out with Twitch a little while longer. I'm in double places. I forgot to turn me off on the one. Of course I did. But you know what? Until the next time we chat, discuss any of these things, dive into it, I bid you all a deep and wonderful farewell.